What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about some new data that came out showing how much Canadians are avoiding the United States. So, basically, over the last year, the United States has done a fantastic job of completely alienating our closest ally. And I think we're starting to realize that it was not a very intelligent thing to do. Well, to be honest, plenty of us here haven't realized that yet, actually. So today, I want to take a look at some of the newest data on Canadian tourism to here, the United States, and see just how screwed we are. So let's take a look.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Mexico this hour looking to strengthen ties as both countries say they're striving to lessen reliance on the United States.
And that's certainly something that I think a lot of Americans don't realize is the consequence of what America has done to Canada. A lot of people, including Donald Trump, who started most of this, thought, okay, we're going to threaten Canada with annexation and tariffs and trade wars, and Canada is going to come crawling back to us and give us whatever we want. And actually, it seems like all that has accomplished is Canada wants to do whatever it can to lower its reliance on the United States, which makes all the sense in the world because fundamentally, if you just look at the situation, the trust has been broken. Like, even if we come to some kind of deal at this point, it just feels like Canadians are going to have a difficult time trusting the United States from now on. And you can't really blame them, you know? It actually makes all the sense in the world.
The U.S. in turn says it's disappointed in Canada and Canadians' response to its tariffs.
It is very, very difficult
No.
to find Canadians who are passionate about the American-Canadian relationship.
Not this guy. Not this guy again. If you didn't see, I actually did a video about this guy. He is the United States ambassador to Canada. And I watched this clip of him basically saying he is really, really disappointed in Canadians for how mean you're being to America. And he just doesn't understand why Canada isn't excited to work with America. Why? What's wrong with you guys? Jeez, what's your problem? You're not... Why are you being so rude to us? It's just mind-boggling, honestly, to see some of my fellow Americans who just don't get it. I don't even understand how you can be this out of touch and not, I'm American. I'm part of this nation, I get it. I'm able to just sit back and be objective and be like, geez, Canada has a lot of really good reasons to be upset with the United States. And yet somehow the ambassador here, our ambassador to Canada, doesn't get it. And he's like getting mad at Canadians. This was a whole thing. I already did a video on this recently. This still gets me worked up.
Okay, you ran a campaign where, it was anti-American, elbows up, me too.
Yeah. Wait. Such a There's so many things here to dissect, but it's like You're mad that some Canadians are anti-American? What has America done but be anti-Canadian? So we're allowed to be anti-Canadian as a country. Our policies have been anti-Canada. You can't deny that. We're allowed to do that. But as soon as someone else does it to us, it's wrong. It's very bad and wrong. What? It's so hypocritical. It's so dumb.
No, it was an anti-American campaign.
Duh.
The CBC's JP Tasker has been tracking the numbers on how Canadians are choosing to spend their money in the face of the trade war. Okay, JP, let's start with travel. This is one of the things you've been on for a while now. What are we seeing on the travel front?
Okay, so before they start, I'll just say I'm aware that Canadian tourism towards the United States has gone down a lot, and I'm actually pretty nervous to see this is like the most up-to-date report on Canadian tourism and spending in the U.S. So let's see where we're at.
Yeah, after President Trump launched his trade war and hit us with punishing tariffs, you'll remember Prime Minister Mark Carney said the old relationship with the United States will soon be over. Now we have some hard data to suggest that prophecy is coming true. There has been a quantifiable shift with travel, on trade, shopping, and culture. Let's start with cross-border travel in particular. It's not just a slump. It's really in free fall with trips.
Oh my God. He's putting it in no uncertain terms. Like, look at 2019. Look at their little graph there. Car trips to the United States used to be 3.3 million. It's now below 2. It's getting close to like literally dropping by half. That's unbelievable. The amount of Canadians that are traveling to the United States is almost down by 50%, half, since 2019. I mean, if that doesn't show what Canadians are thinking, right there, that's the most clear-cut, like, objective data that you could, like, to show what Canadians are feeling and how they're acting.
By automobile in August, it was down 35% in August alone. And when we first started talking about this phenomenon, it was really a land border thing, if you'll remember. Well, now we also have some data on air travel as well. That's down 25% year over year. In August, Air Canada has cut back a number of its U.S. routes or downsized some of the planes on some of the routes to American cities. But
that's how you know this isn't... That's how you know this is here to stay for a while. That the actual airlines are getting rid of certain flights to America. That's how you know.
It doesn't mean travel demand has dried up. They've actually added 28 international routes to destinations beyond the United States. Canadians still want to travel. They're going to Europe, the Caribbean, and South America instead.
Right.
This is what the United States doesn't realize. Or certainly not our government and our leadership. We are under the false pretense that everyone is just dying to get to the United States and to do business with the United States, and it's just not... For some reason, a lot of us have this idea that other countries simply don't have any alternative. That's not true. There's literally an entire world out there other than the United States. It's actually a very egotistical sort of American worldview that a lot of us have, that it's like, well, where else are you going to go? You got to do business with America. You got to travel to America. Where else are you going to go? It's like, there's literally an entire rest of the planet to go to.
Okay, because we saw basically it was cut in half from pre-pandemic numbers, or pretty close to it. And, you know, my kids wanted to go to Disney. We took them to PEI this summer. The beaches were just as good. Okay, so that's travel. Let's talk about trade, because this is the thing that is being directly hit by this. What's the data?
Trade.
Yeah, Canadian exports to the United States have dropped about 2%. That seems like a small figure on paper, but you know this well. That's about $5 billion, a hit to exporters in this country. So it's dropped off. But
right, and that's not going to like demolish the US economy or anything, but it is going to demolish certain US businesses. There are certain businesses in the United States that really, really depend on the Canadian market. And I feel like a lot of Americans don't realize, like, yeah, our decreasing trade. What's going on? Something's in my eyeball. This is really, helping me drive home my point, isn't it? Rubbing my eyeball for 30 seconds. What was I talking about? Yeah, there's a lot of businesses in the United States. Like, even if our country, our country is going to survive, but there's a lot of American businesses that are like actually going out of business because of this, that are getting hit hardest.
Businesses have not wasted any time finding new markets or tapping old ones that maybe have atrophied in the years that we've gone all in on the United States. And when you look at the United Kingdom in particular, it's up 63% this year in terms of the number of exports that are going, the value of those exports going.
What? I didn't know about this. Holy crap. The UK must be laughing. Up 63% to the UK. Yeah, I mean, literally, we were just talking about it. Canada is just, going to alternatives.
To Great Britain and Northern Ireland. In terms of Europe overall, it's up 26%. So we're sending many more minerals, resources, technology, infrastructure, agricultural products. It's all up. So as the U.S. craters, or at least dips a little bit here, craters in terms of the dollar amount, they're finding other markets to sell those goods.
It's important to say, though, with the interconnectedness and the scale of trade, that 2% is probably even a whole lot bigger than the 63,
I will say,
right?
though, the UK is now our second largest trading partner as a result of all.
True. Like, 2% of the United States GDP is a lot.
Partner. As a result of all these shifts, they've actually displaced China. So we are sending more goods to the UK than just about any other jurisdiction on Earth, other than, of course, as you say, the United States.
Okay, that is an interesting development there. Okay, so we see the trade changes, the travel changes, the change in those flows. What other changes you see and what consumers are doing?
Yeah, let's dig into some consumer patterns. We've seen some data from American liquor producers. Of course, we've been following this trend for a long time. We now know sales of United States liquor, American liquor, are down 62% in this.
Oh my God. I've heard a little bit about this. Like, some Canadian places, like, literally flushing American liquor down the toilet or something. Why liquor in particular? That I have to say I don't understand. But I've heard about this to some extent, that American liquor is not popular in Canada. 62%. That's like the biggest figure we've heard so far. Something about our liquor is where you're hitting us the hardest.
This country, as it stands right now, as of the last quarter for Brown-Forman, a major manufacturer, a major producer of alcohol. You'll know them for Jack Daniels, Woodford Reserve Bourbon. They are sounding the alarm. It's been a huge hit to their bottom line. That's why they're missing their quarterly reports.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking about there are certain businesses in America that are being hit the hardest by this and actually in danger. Such as the liquor producers. Why liquor? Is it maybe liquor? Alcohol is like some kind of symbol of camaraderie or friendship or something. So, is there something about liquor in particular where Canadians are like, I'm not buying that American liquor. I'm not drinking your drink. Like, I've just noticed it's like alcohol in particular.
Loblaw, of course, the country's largest grocer, is also seeing a major dip in terms of the sales of U.S. products. They've taken dozens of U.S. products off their shelves and replaced them with Canadian ones because there is a demand for that homegrown content.
Whoa. That's how you know Canadians are serious about this. It's not easy to just remove it's not easy to just remove an entire product and create a replacement. That takes so much logistics and effort and money to like remove whatever American chicken noodle soup or whatever, and then create all of that in Canada. That if Canada is actually doing that, and you are, that shows how serious Canada is about not buying American stuff. Like, you're willing to go that far to, like, just create the whole product in Canada to get away from buying American.
Added more than 100 new Canadian suppliers to their supply chain because there is that demand. Let's also talk about books. This is a really interesting one too. I got some data from Indigo, and actually the sales of Canadian authored books this year are up 25% year over year. So there's really this pivot to buying books that are authored by Canadians.
Right, because there's so many things that you never think about as being political or geographical, really. Like books, authors. You don't really think too much about where an author is from. At least I don't. It's just like, is that book well known? Is that a good book? But it's come to the point where Canadians are literally like, well, is that author American? Because I don't want that book. I don't want to support America in any way. I didn't even know that was a thing.
We're also seeing that there has been a shift in terms of other cultural mediums too, including Canadian television.
Right.
I asked CBC Radio Canada for some data on how their programs have been performing. And actually, GEM viewership is up 34% this year in terms of that streaming platform that we have. Murdoch Mystery, Schitt's
GEM? What's GEM? Is that like a Canadian Netflix or something?
Creek, Heartland this hour has 22 minutes. They're all up double or triple digits compared to what they were at last year.
Okay.
Oh my God. for some Canadian, for certain Canadian businesses, this might have been the best thing that ever happened to them. Some of these Canadian businesses are like getting double the revenue because of this stuff.
It's interesting on the consumer goods losing market share and losing shelf space, and that's tough to get back when things do go back to normal.
Exactly. Oh my God, that's a good point. Wow, because a lot of Americans aren't thinking about this. Really aren't thinking about this. A lot of Americans aren't even thinking about what we've done to Canada, as silly as that is, but let alone the long-term ramifications. You're removing American goods from your stores. Even if we get some kind of trade deal, even if 3 years go by and Donald Trump is finally out of office and the tariff policies are revoked, like, that's going to be 3-4 years of Canada boycotting American stuff. And there's no assurance that it's ever going to go back to the way it was. It probably won't, right?
Exactly. So who knows when things go back to normal? Canadians have responded to the nationalist call. The U.S. does not like what they're seeing from their northern neighbors.
Yeah, you'll remember the ambassador, the U.S. ambassador.
The U.S. doesn't like what we're seeing, and yet our U.S. representatives, instead of doing some kind of self-reflection, instead of asking, why are Canadians upset? Instead of asking, what can America do to remedy this situation, to create a fair deal? Instead, it feels like American representatives are just saying, why are Canadians so mad? How dare you? How dare you get mad at America? And it just sounds so childish and embarrassing, and it's sad.
Huckster kind of chastised Canadians, said that we were being nasty for some of these boycott campaigns. Well, he has
nasty for in America. Like, that's a very American ideal. Boycotting, protesting, free speech. That's something that America holds really dear to us. That's really important and something we take a lot of pride in. Yet when somebody does it against us, suddenly it's the worst thing in the world. It's just so hypocritical.
some fresh comments we want to play for our audience. Have a listen.
Much of that messaging is continuing.
Not this. Not this guy again. Why? Oh, not this guy.
We got to be tough against the Americans. We're not going to buy F-35s. We're going to ban your alcohol. We're going to tell our people not to travel to the United States. I'm sorry, but that's what we see. That doesn't tell me that Canada is passionate about this relationship in the same way that we are.
This guy needs to go home. Get the camera off this guy. This is bad. Every word he's saying is like digging our own grave even deeper. I hate it. It's painful to listen to. Just the hypocrisy and the lack of self-awareness is off the charts. It's so bad. It's so bad. He's literally...
Not passionate. He's also talking about how there was hope for a big deal with Canada that has faded. So as this rhetoric comes from the United States.
Like, he's making it sound like it is totally Canada's fault for all of this. I mean, what more? I don't know. It's enough to make you go crazy. It make you think like you're living in some kind of clown world, right? We're living in clown world. Like, nothing makes sense anymore.
We are seeing that Canadians, consumers, businesses, they've already made the pivot. They are finding new markets. They are shifting their behaviors. And the federal government is as well, as you well know. And that's why we're seeing Prime Minister Mark Carney in Mexico today. This diversification campaign, it's in full swing.
Yeah, the thousands of people have lost their jobs because of the trade war. They're pretty passionate about what's going on. All right, thank you, JP.
Jeez. Yeah, well, while the United States scratches our head wondering what's happening? Why are Canadians upset? I don't get it. While we scratch our head and wonder, Canada is making moves and distancing itself and doing what's best for Canada. And I can hardly blame you. This was definitely not what I hoped to see, but exactly what I expected based on how things have been going. And I think the worst part of it is it just feels like the United States is doing nothing to remedy the situation or make it better. We're probably just making it worse as time goes on, which is really sad to see. So I don't know if there is a positive takeaway to this video, but the only good thing I can say is, as an American, I'm glad to be informed about what's going on and actually take some time to learn about the reality of the Canada-U.S. relationship and what's happening and where it's going. And because a lot of Americans just don't have any idea, and that's sad. So anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave comments with your thoughts on this data and all of the things that have happened in the recent history with the U.S.-Canada relationship and how Canadians are responding to this and how America is responding to this. Any of this stuff, that'd be cool to hear about, especially if you're Canadian and hearing your point of view. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and seeing Canadian things I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.